All right, what's up, guys? It's Tyler again, bringing you a analysis for the week of pretty much November, the first week of November. We got a couple pairs to look at, but real quickly, let's take a look at the Ripple price action. We had this 95 cent, 94.5 cent level marked last week. That got tapped really quickly. And now we're back into this range between pretty much $1.07 and $1.13. Um, Yesterday we spiked above it, but as you can see, we didn't get the full pressure to break it. But we also didn't get the pressure to break to the downside either. So we're still ranging in this area. There is some big news with the SEC and Ripple case on November 9. That as long as that is good news, then maybe it will help drive this price up. I think if we're gonna go up, we're gonna tap this high again of $1.40 for now. And hopefully see big numbers in the future. That was real quick. On the side here on the watch list, you can see the pairs we're going to be looking at is gold, pound Aussie, pound yen, and odd yen. But we do have two indices. We got the Japanese yen basket and we got the dollar index. So let's dive into the dollar index first, because this is what is going to help correlate with our gold trades. So last week, we had a news event come out. I think it was Thursday morning for the dollar that sent the dollar down to the support of 93.4, basically 93.3 to 93.4. We tapped into that area, stalled overnight, and as soon as London hit, we just shot up like a rocket past these highs to slightly above 94. We are currently sitting at this resistance right here of about 94.15 area. So my overall bias on this is I think we will continue up. I think the first level we're going to hit is 94.5. And if we can successfully break past 94.5, I think the next target is clearly going to be the 95 region. Now, what happens before that? Well, when the market opens this week, price is either going to do one of two things. It's going to go up or it's going to go down. So if it opens and we start trickling down, I would love to see a higher low formed around this area, or as low as here to make an equal low from that new spike down. Okay, I wouldn't mind seeing that move down, and I'll show you why with gold in a minute. So it is possible that we come back down here at least to around these levels, right? I could make this a zone or an area if I wanted to. Just this general area is what I would like to see respected. But if it's not, like I said, if we come back down here, this is going to be the last wall of support, right? So if we blast through this, then I'm turning my bias to bearish, but I don't think that's going to happen. I do think we're going to continue up, and I do think we're going to make a higher low. The second thing that could happen is price just starts moving up and up and up. I think we would tap this first and then move down here to test 94.0 basically, which also lines up with this support. So if we just move up, we would come up here, tap this, and then retest support. And if we start rejecting 94, then we would make the full move to 95. So really just watching and seeing where and when we gain support on the dollar index. This is a huge move up, blasting through the highs, lots of momentum, and I think that's going to continue, but it is very possible that we see a pullback first. So tying that into gold, let's just first look at the structure here. We're going to look from left to right. So over here, we can see this level is created, and we actually had sells right from 1830 and the target was 1720. So, if you sold that whole swing, congrats to you. But we got the structure here. It broke, it tapped these lows, right? This support right here. Then we retested and broke those lows all the way down here. Came back up, pulled back up into this level and went down again all the way to that 1720 support. The overall flow, if I just keep this still, I want you to see this overall flow of this squeeze and then how we popped out right here, consolidated, and now we're moving back up. So what happened is we made this support here, consolidation between these two levels, right? A little bit of a weird spike, right? This is probably, yeah, that's 9 p.m. So this is probably a new spike, right? Right at the beginning of the New York session, we spiked into this previous structure level, came back down, and then we continued where we're supposed to go. 1760, major support, it flipped, caught the support here, and then we have moved up into 1810. So now to get into more recent price action and for what's to come this week. All right, so last week we had really nice sells from this area here down to the bottom of this wick. That was, yeah, it was like 200 some pips. And then we had news again, and we sold even lower to the 1776 level that was previously I had marked up as a support. So we're getting support off that. So what I believe is going to happen next is we will continue this downward momentum to test this 1760 support again before we continue up and possibly even tap this 1830 for a second or third time. Now, as I was saying with the dollar index, how I would like to see this pull back, that would give gold the room to move up here into these highs, which is actually, if we go to the weekly, got a lot of nonsense here. So let me delete some of this stuff so that way it's more clear. So as you guys know, I always play within the wicks and the body highs and lows. So first level, obviously, we're going to mark is the open of last week, which is 1792. And then we have the psych level, which is also the structure level of 1800. So what I would really like to see is price move up back into these levels, this 60 pip range right here. And once price gets into this range, we're going to be watching the lower time frame structure, like 30-minute and 10-minute. And as that structure changes and we start to get a sideways movement, and then we start seeing bearish pressure, we're going to be looking for entries on those lower time frames from these levels. I would really like an entry as close to 1800 as possible. So definitely going to be remaining patient and waiting to see if we can get up into, pretty much 1796 to 1800, because then the stop loss can be, 50 pips right above here. And that'll give plenty of room for the downside. Let's see. Just to forecast the risk to reward. I know like a 50 pip stop loss, right? So about 6 to 1 risk to reward, 6.5 to 1. And after we tap this level, definitely going to be looking for buys. It just depends on what the dollar index does. Because if we pull back here, let me go to the 4-hour. If the dollar index can pull back here, which would bring gold up, then we get our entries and we move into this 94.5 or in this 95 region. I think from these two levels, we will see kind of a larger pullback. So if we get something like this, right, then I think we will move back into this 94 region. For a nice pullback, and then we can continue up here. So I'm not trying to forecast too much to get too ahead of myself here, but the overall outlook on gold is going to be a sell from here. And then depending on what happens, a possible buy up into these highs again, or into these highs, right? So either 1810 area or 1830. So it really depends. Now, on the flip side of that, if we can blast through 1760, the next set of support is going to be this level that I deleted. It's going to be, 1750 basically, or high 1740s. So if we blast through here this week, even during the middle of the week, this is going to be the full target all the way down here. Because if we can get gold, if we can get a nice entry here, swing it all the way down to the 1750 region, my hypothesis, my guess would be if we're tapping this level, dollar index is going to be at the 95 then. If we're going to move all the way down here, that means the dollar index has moved all the way up to 95. And I think once we hit 95, we will see some sort of retracement, possibly even back down to 94. Again, this level right here, which would give a large buy move, back all the way up to 1800 even. Something like this. Let me draw it on here. Right? Kind of how this flows right here. See how we got the moves down and then we started pushing back up. I think we might get something similar here. I think we're going to get some moves down and then we're going to start pushing back up. So to summarize, just waiting for price to get back in between these levels, 1792 to 1800 essentially. Once it's in these levels, look at structure and look for that sell entry. Now I am fully aware of this level right here. Okay, fully aware of this level. And it is possible price just comes barely up here and then continues down, because we do have this support right here. So that kind of matches, right? But judging on the weekly candles and how we know the weekly candles work, I really think we're going to get a wick, right? Because if you look at all these candles, you guys know how the wicks move, right? Look at these massive wicks to both sides. I really think we're going to come up here and get that weekly wick before we move down. That's why I'm not really highlighting that level, because this is probably what a lot of people are looking at. I'm trying to draw it. There we go. This is what probably a lot of people are looking at and planning to sell from. And if we know the manipulation in this market, we know that's, it's probably going to look like a sell here, and then it's just going to snap up here and take everyone out. Because it's going to come up and make those wicks on the weekly. That's why we always play those weekly wicks on every pair. That's where we plan the entry, is the weekly wicks. Got some more people? Yeah, we got someone else. So moving on to the pound Aussie. Overall, this has been very bearish. We've had a very steady decline over the past few weeks since the middle of September, and that pressure is continuing. So I think it's going to continue at least for the first half of this week. That being said, let's go to the daily. See this level right here? These highs and this move down. This is why I have this level marked. And this is the target for the short opportunity. Now, there's two things that can happen when this market opens, obviously. It's either going to immediately move down or immediately move up. In the case that it immediately moves up on the daily time frame, we have the high of the body, which is the open, and the high of the wick. Those two levels are where I'm expecting the next day's wick to come into, or even possibly the candle, and then the following day is when it drops. Let's take a look at previous candles real quick. So right here, If you see it dropping, comes all the way back up here, drops. Second thing, second candle, second day. We come all the way back up here. We come, see if this level was marked and this level is marked. We're looking to enter between those levels. So once it reached those levels, I should have marked that on the daily. It's probably in here. See how the structure makes a double top. You could enter right here, right? Maybe it comes back up. Second entry placed, hold the target, targets the low of this day right here. So target smashed, right? Similar, or you could swing it, if the target was all the way down there. That was just a quick example of showing you guys what I mean by waiting for the daily candles. Even right here, right? This bearish candle, look, we came all the way up here, just above the open of this candle, and then we closed way down here. So I think we might get something similar. We're going to come up here, and we're either going to do something like this, see how it dumps. This candle moved up in the second one, that's when it started dumping. We might get something like that, right? So this next, or Monday's candle might not close a pin bar like this. It might close bullish, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, bearish. 4 hour, you can kind of see where that structure is. Now the second scenario is when, as soon as price, or as soon as the market opens, price immediately starts moving down. Based on the lower time frame, I think if we immediately start moving down, then we might be able to catch a buy up into these levels before we sell it. Okay, that's the second scenario, which honestly would be great because that's just an extra 120 pips on, added to the table. So it depends. Being really careful here with buying. I'm gonna be watching the 10-minute. I would expect it to move down more a bit. And if we go to the daily and we look left, see this low right here, this wick right there. Okay, that's where I would expect, which is also the top of here. That's where I'd expect the support to come in if we're gonna catch that buy. So with that level being marked, I'm gonna leave that there. So now you can kind of see the flow of what we're looking at here. So possible, I'm leaning towards this is what's gonna happen. Possible slight move down, a little bit of structure, a quick buy up into these levels, and then at the beginning or middle of the week we get a sell opportunity up here, and then we start moving down. I would really like to enter the sells in this zone right here. You can see why I drew this zone the way I did. These candles, this consolidation, I would love the sell entry to be as high up in this zone as possible, and stop loss is going to be above this wick right here, because if we were just a couple pips above that wick and the entry is right here, that's 48 to probably close to 200 pips, 45 to 200, 4.5 to 1 risk to reward. That's what we're going to be looking at. But again, this is very possible here, right? I'd be totally fine with entering quick buys to the upside and then seeing the continuation of this downwards movement. I mean, this thing has been going down for a while now. Similar to right here, see how we have these lows and then price spiked down, and then we moved down, and then we pulled all the way back up, and then we started continuing down again. We might see something like that here. Now, under the circumstances that this level is broken, which I could pull this left. You see how nice that lines up, right? I'll leave that there just for you guys. See, it lines up really well. If we blow past this, let me get a visual. If we come back down, then the bias is going to switch to a buy, and we'll determine where the buys will be placed when that happens. because of how far this has been going down. In due time, it's due a pullback to this level right here. This area. See how it taps right here, and it's kind of the structure right here. It's due a pullback. Is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen later? We don't know. But what we do know as of right now, all higher time frame is bearish, and we're in a full downtrend, so the momentum is down. So we're going to overall look for a sell. However, of course, can't forget the quick buys to the upside. Now I'm going to be holding, if we get this buys, I'm going to be holding that buy to see if we can break that, because price, if we get a nice buys here, price is probably going to try to break this. So we might come up to it and tap it and float around it and try to break it. And then if we fail to break it after some time, close the buys, look for the sells. If we do break it, then just hold the buys, right? So even if it does break, that would be great, because overall we're still looking to buy at this level if price immediately comes down here. Now, if price immediately moves up, not looking to buy. Okay, I'm only looking to buy if price comes down here tonight, as market opens, and then, maybe a buy during London, and then swap happens and we move sideways, and then starting Tuesday's candle, maybe we get an entry, play with the daily wicks, get an entry to sell down here, or Tuesday's candle is going to break above it, right? So there's a couple of things we can do here. Everything is profitable. Every way is profitable. We just got to be prepared for it and execute it properly and wait. Just want to line that up. Okay. So that's it for pound Aussie. Then we have the yen basket. So this could go both ways, honestly. Looking at the structure, you see we have the higher high, we have the higher low, now we have the equal high, and we still have this higher low right here, but we've also rejected this level right here, which is pretty interesting to me. Now looking at the 4-hour, look at all these wicks to the downside, but look at how clean this body pushed up here. We actually pushed all the way up here. So we're going to be ranging in here, and depending on where we break these two trades, we'll get into that in a minute. So in my humble opinion, based off this sell pressure, I think we're at least going to come down here and test this. Now, if we test this and we get a lot of support and we start pushing off that, then I think we're just going to go all the way up to 900 or 9,000 again. Now, if we break this, we have the second place of where support will be tested. If we break this, then obviously we're going to come all the way down here. However, I truly think we're going to get support at either one of these levels. Now, if price immediately comes up when market opens, I'm just going to wait and wait and wait, because it's probably going to drop and test these. The reason I'm saying that is waiting is because of the yen right here. So we'll go to the weekly. The yen is due a pullback. I think everyone has been expecting that. We have the fib on here, which lines up perfectly with the bottom of this daily. We also have this clean structure level, which I could drag to the side to get this level tapped. Let me put that back. Oh, sorry, let me go back up here. So looking at recent structure, I'm looking to sell this still. However, I don't think we're going to sell immediately right when market opens. Again, playing with the wicks, I think what we're going to do is we're going to come up into these highs, right? I actually had that marked at specifically 157. Okay, I want to see 157 tapped. And then obviously we have the high of this week, this past week, which is 1577. Now I don't think we will go that high, but it is it's a possibility. Whoops. Just based off how the market flows and how the weekly wicks work, we know that it's definitely a possibility that the market will come up at least to here and possibly even here. Which, if the yen basket starts moving down, even if it moves down here, either this level or this level, that starts moving down. I mean, look at this. Let me mark this up for you. I'm going to delete this. I'm just going to go like this for you, just so you can get a visual. You see that? So a buys from here, even, I mean, that's 200 pips. A 200 pip buy from this level is very possible. And that's actually what I'm going to be looking for at the beginning of the week. I'm going to be looking for a buy, but overall, long term, towards the end of the week and definitely going into next week, depending on how this closes, looking for sells to these levels. But we've gained a lot of support here. We haven't been able to break it. 3 different times we haven't been able to break it. We're forming a nice squeeze right here. We all know this pattern very well. And this is the top of last week. This is the high of last week, which last week we had an incredible sell from this level. I mean, we had the this level marked right here and the highs, and it just went perfectly right to that level, tapped it and dumped, pulled back, made that lower high, tapped that, dumped, but we can't break this. Okay, we can't break this, and the basket is looking very bearish. So that's why I'm thinking we're going to get a buys. We're at least going to get to 157. Like I was saying, at least to 157. I'm going to put that exactly on 157. So for the buy entry, I'm expecting price to play within its current price. So 156 all the way down here to 155.7. Okay, I think we have this whole range right here. This area, all these wicks, that's a lot of orders. I think we're going to be able to tap back into that one more time before we move up to 157. Obviously, there is the instance of price smashing through this. And if that happens, then there's nothing to do but watch it and reassess it for another entry, which will cross that bridge if we come to it. But in the instance that it doesn't smash through it and we come down here and we start stalling, then we should know guaranteed it's going to come up and we're going to be looking for a buy entry. Now, if it does come back down here, I don't expect it to stay that long. I think it will make another 4-hour wick. So expect maybe an hour or two down here before you move up, which on the 10-minute, you know, that's a lot of candles. 4 hours on a 10-minute is a lot of price movement and structure. So we can play with that 10-minute structure or 15-minute time frame structure and look at the pressure that it's getting and enter off of that. And then, of course, the possible buys all the way up to 157.7. Holding partials, you know, this is where partials will be taken, but holding some till here because this is a lot of bullish pressure. And it wouldn't surprise me if honestly, we could even come all the way back up and make a double top before it drops. You know what I mean? Because price is going to want to accumulate as many orders as possible before it makes this huge move to the downside. So similar to this right here is how we came up and we sort of dumped and then we got a nice buy right here and then it actually fully dumped, right? We might get something similar going on here, right? We got a nice move to the downside, can't break the structure. So we move all the way back up and then we start selling from there again. So overall, first looking to buy this pair. And as the week progresses, depending where we're at and what happens, then we'll be looking for a sell entry. I would really prefer to sell as high as possible. So up here, or like I said, for the double top up here. That's just what my gut is telling me. Okay, my gut isn't telling me it's going to smash through. It might. And if it does, then like I said, we'll assess for a sell entry. But as of right now, planning to place the buys. Honestly, if price comes up here, I'm probably not going to close that much. I'm going to wait and see and give it time to come up here because I could definitely see price making a double top on the daily or the 4-hour before moving down. I mean, where is it at? Look at this price action real quick. Move down, right? Nice clean price action. Right, this right now. Hold on. Forget about everything to the right of this line. This is what price looks like right now. We had a huge impulse up. We made the level and we've been coming down and we've failed to break the support. Now what's happening, or now what happened? Price flipped, made a double top, almost. It didn't even come up all the way, almost. We actually sold this, I remember, because the week started right here. It was a little choppy and we sold it all the way down here to these levels in August. So I think we're going to get something like that on a larger scale going on over here, because now look at this structure, right? It's very similar. It's just larger. I think that's what's going to happen. This is pretty much for the buys where the stop loss would be placed under, which is why I would like price to come down to this level or even below it and wick below it very quickly, because this is a miniature support and I wouldn't be surprised if price here, just to make this more clean, let me move these around for you. We got the high of the week right here. Okay, now it's a little bit more clean. If we can get an entry like just under this level, so like 155.6-ish, stop losses, that would be a 40, 45, 30 pip stop loss. That'd be amazing because that's 200 and some pips up. So the risk to reward there is going to be really big. So I wouldn't be surprised if we wick down into this level. But overall, looking to definitely get in the buys. I would say if price gets into this range right here, so 155.6 to 155.775, entry in this area. I'm not talking about after it pushes out and stuff. I'm talking about the entry in here. That's why I watch the small time frame, because it'll start turning on the small time frame and you'll be able to know. Or lower, obviously. I mean, if price just blasts through here and it finds support right here and it starts selling right here, then obviously, that's pretty straightforward. We'll be buying right there, but I don't know if it'll do that. I'm not too keen on it doing that. So yeah, for pound yen, that's pretty much it. Buys and then sells. Yeah, that's a good opportunity. Last one. Same thing. Now this one is a little bit more bearish currently, right? Because GJ, that's, to me, I look at this, I'm thinking bullish, I'm thinking buys. I look at this, I'm thinking sells. Okay. This is a very corrective structure. We got, oh, here's my tool. Okay, there we go. We got this cap right here that price hasn't been able to break through. We were moving up. See how we got these higher high, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and now we're moving sideways. Okay, you see I could draw an arrow. See, now it's straight up sideways. So that's leaning me to believe we will see some sort of sell. Now, not to go against the pound yen to make this opposite, but I do think we're going to get a short-term sell. I don't think it's going to be that far. I think we're going to come into these levels right here. Okay. I think we're just going to sell to this level. And if the basket is moving down, which would bring pound yen up, when price is down here, if it's still moving down, I think we will get a buys into this weekly high of 86.25. So this one, I'm not going as in depth in. I think we're going to get a short-term buys. Was that like 50, 60 pips? And then the move to the upside 100 pips. I'm not really focusing on this pair that much. I am in sells somewhere around here, which is why I'm going over it. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be going over it. I did place a small short position Friday. I think I forgot exactly where. But I do think we will get that just based off technicals. I think we will move down slightly before you continue up, which is the same really thought process on this. I do think we're going to move down slightly before we get the buys. I'm personally not going to be buying this. I'm just managing the sell position that I'm in. So once price gets down here, I'm probably going to be closing that out. And then all JPY is off of the watch list after that trade is closed. So yeah, I mean, that's just on here so I can manage my current position. I thought Friday when it was going to keep dumping down Friday. Obviously that didn't happen, but yeah, that's what JPY is here for. I think we're gonna get small short-term sells, and then we're gonna continue up. So just real quick, just to skim through everything one last time quickly. Sell gold from this range down to 1760 area, possibly even 1750 area, just going off of the flow of the market. Pound Aussie, two options: buy into this area and then sell, or just wait for the sells right here. Simple as that. Yen, this is going to be the bigger trade right here. Slight move down, gain support, buy to these highs, and then sell from these highs. And these sell entry that are just going to be placed up here will be a full swing down here, holding pretty much 100% of the trade until it hits the target, because that is 430 pips ish. And yeah, if it's, I can almost guarantee you, we come up here and it's going down, it will go to that level. So you might as well hold all of it, right? There's no point of taking all these partials as it's moving down. Just hold it all, because if it's going to reject here and it's going to move down, it will move down all the way down here. I guarantee it. So just hold it. Just like right here, you know, double top, held all position until down here, because it's almost guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed in this market, but you can get damn close. And I can tell you this right now, this actually comes up here and makes some sort of double top. It's very similar to this situation. It's almost guaranteed that we're going to dump all the way down here. So buys to sell And then this is just a really quick short-term sell and possibly continue up here to make another double top, but no focus on this pair. What's up, Louis? Oh, it's see, it's trying to break right now, so it would be late if we can get above $1.13 and have it flip for support, then $1.40 is without a doubt the next stop. I mean, there is this minor $1.20, but if we're able to flip this, I really think we're gonna go to $1.40. And then looking at the daily, see what happened here is we got this push up, right? And then we exploded. I think that's where we are right now. So I think we're gonna explode and even break new highs relatively soon, maybe just going into the next year, honestly. I mean, by the end of January, I would say we're gonna get close to $2 or above it. That's it. That's all I got. Quincy, I can hand it over to you. Quincy is going to go over a couple indices, I believe. All right, I'm going to make you host and mute myself. Mo, I don't know when you joined. So Quincy, real quick, just for Mo, I will send everything in the chat, but while I'm on the mic, in case you didn't see it, on the daily level, we're looking to sell gold into these lows, 1760 or 1740-ish. Pound Aussie continuation to 1.809 basically. Pound yen buy up into this level, and then from here we're going to catch a massive swing. So Mo, be ready for this sell up here because we're going to make you a lot of money. And then all JPY possible sells, short-term small 50 pip sells. All right.
All right, folks, let me get it right for y'all. All right. Thank you for the switch over. Let's get it, team. Let's eat. Looking at a few indices this week. Just checking out the SPX momentarily. Let's look at it weekly. As we see, as we condense the view just a bit, we have some challenging levels near these all-time highs. Now, most hedgers are suspecting that we should still be able to climb a bit more before ultimate correction. But as we take a look at the price action just on this weekly view right here, we haven't really had too much rejection yet. There's still plenty of room as we operate within these channels. I'm looking to see how much rejection happens around this major level at just about 45.50. I want to see a lot of accumulation, a lot of hesitation, a lot of indecision around this level before I look for any type of shorts. Because as we take a look at this broad channel, it's not really a megaphone, it's more like a flag. Plenty of room to still climb a bit higher before ultimate correction. So for anybody looking to go long, chances are you're going to have some opportunities, but you still have to be patient because with indices, a lot of room for profit or the opposite. So this is why we must have a strict plan to stay safe while we protect our capital in these markets. Now, as we take a look here, this is the exact area I'm looking at right here. I have yet to see a lot of rejection. I mean, we have this candle right here, long wick. but still ample amount of bullish pressure. The support that formed at about 43.40 has been driving this market all the way up. Now, if we keep some fundamentals in mind, around the last week or so, we have seen that vaccines have been bullishly approving for all age groups, specifically for 65 and older and for 5 to 11 age groups, for mixing boosters with the original vaccines, whether it's Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, what have you. So with these types of effects in mind, let's be very careful as we look for our entry. Not a real clean short. So if anything, we're looking for some type of push to the upside, with potentially 4,500 becoming a potential support. So we'll see how our supply and demand rules play out. Let's look at a lower time frame so you can see some of the motion. As we see, the flow is still bringing us towards the upside as we create a minor channel right here, just with the trend here. We've had some hints of potential bearish intent just with how this broke off, but we're still pushing to the upside. So no matter what, we're still going to be ready because we have a plan. We know how to protect ourselves, and we'll be patient. If we take a look here at this 4,300 level, just making a long move right here, if somebody knew when to get in. Forgive me here. Let's create a long. All right. Now somebody knew to get in around this time as this strong, convincing support is forming, as we have this very strong triple tap here. You can almost consider it a quadruple, but we're just going to say triple for the time being. Somebody was only risking just about 500 to 600 pips as it relates to indices. They could have done very well. When we enter, we typically keep it around these major pivot areas. So even if I put my little pivot indicator on, if I want to get in a very sniping, very accurate type of mode, I will correlate with these and correlate with my other major levels to maximize my return. All right. Because how we do, we would have gotten somewhere in around here and just rode this for a couple of days. Now, let's check out some other markets real quick. Let's take a look at NASDAQ. Now, as we see here on this daily, we are still operating in this flag area. No room for any type of megaphone. We are still in a flag type of motion. All right. Now, as we see, we don't really have a true entry until we see a lot of rejection, a lot of accumulation in this 15,800 level. Okay. Now, if we take a look at our pip counter right here, we have about 1,000 pip range to work with, more or less, about 900 to 1,000 pips. 900 to 1,000 points. So that's going to be 9,000 to 10,000 pips. That's right. When it comes to the indices, it carries more weight. So we ensure that our return is maximized by knowing when to enter, when to exit. So just taking a look at this zone right here. It's clear we have a nice double bottom that's forming right here. Lots of accumulation and a lot of true support at this 14,800 level. So if we got in, we would have gotten in somewhere around here. Waited for our rules to play out and go right ahead. Now, the deal is just like any other pair, you got to stick to your rules. And for us, if we want to play in this market this week, we're going to have to wait for the proper rejection, because I don't like trying to go long here unless I really see that we have a support forming around here. And it all depends on how the order flow, the accumulation decides to lay out. So I'm looking for a rejection to down here, and I'm looking to go long for a while. So we'll see how the rejection happens over the next week or so. We have a lot of state level elections going on in America. So we'll see what kind of juice that adds. There's already been a lot of bullish intent with the vaccine news. So as it relates to these tech industries here, we will see what happens with some of these earnings reports as we get ready for a nice close. Because as most of us know, once we get into this range right here, becoming December into early February, we could become extremely stagnant in this zone right here. As we know, many successful traders, they stop trading during this time right here. So as it relates to these major equities here, we must make sure that we are ready for whatever gas the market decides to show. So it is quite possible that after we get a big move, say it's bullish up here, or we get another move down here, no matter what happens, understand there's going to be a lack of action happening right about here. So because there's going to be a lack of action, regardless if we settle down here, we challenge another all-time high, then resettle, chances are once we close this fiscal quarter, there's going to be a limited amount of action here. So we must keep that in mind as we get these trades set up. All right. We must have a plan to protect ourselves if we are to maximize our returns. Now, let's check out the Dow. Now, similar deal here, but we had more of a triple bottom forming around just about 34,800 to the 3,400 level. And all the way down to 33,800, we noticed a lot of folks wanting to short. But if you look at how the supply and demand played out, had no choice but to bounce from this major zone all the way up to challenge for more all-time highs for the last few weeks of October. Now, again, as we transition to election times, we should also understand once we get into this zone over here called December, there's going to be a lot of profit taking. It's going to be folks that are going to try to force their way into different trades. So the actual structure may not be as clear for the month of December, especially for Dow compared to the other indices. So because of this, there's not a lot of action during this time. So whatever trades we're planning, we're going to have to make them count due to the lack of liquidity that's about to happen after these elections in the fiscal quarter gets ready for the new. All right. So as we take a look here at a lower time frame, let's look at the 4 hour. We expanded into a nice bull run right here, out of the megaphone into a flag. And now we're going to see if the 35,600 level can be a true support for the next few months. If not, we should break down and stagnate within, I would say, this 800-point range or so. So if we break down, right, break down out of here, just based upon this, this nice little demand zone that could confirm, depending on how much juice happens after these state level elections, these other earnings reports, and just how the general news with the COVID vaccines goes about for the next few weeks. So just combining these confluences can definitely help us when it comes to managing our capital. It's really about protecting our capital while we maximize our returns. Because as we see, if we were to plan an entry, which we will be planning some entries this week, we're going to be looking for some longs to try to challenge the upper end of this channel. But we have to be ready for the shorts as well. All right. So let's just take in a look, just a basic survey. If we were looking for the longs, we're going to look for some type of bounce back from this right here all the way back down to our major level. And we're not trying to risk too much either, as you see right there. Only 50 to 60 points on the stop, right? But the only way we can get in, we need to see what we need to see within our order flow. One of the reasons I'm suspecting bullish, just look at how this support is very strong right here. Okay. Reach for its supply, and now it wants some more. Now, if it gets back to the demand zone, I expect for it to shoot back up, just because we have so much room within this true part of the zone right here. This nice little channel right here. We have so much room to get back up in here. So if we can bounce off of here, reject, get down here, we can look to enter somewhere around the 35,800 level, maybe even the 35,750. But the deal is we need some of this gas to die down just a little bit, just because of how expansive the price action is for US 30. You have to give yourself the most room that you can to maximize your capital. Somebody with a $300 account shouldn't really be trading US 30 unless they have an exact plan. Their win rate is about 95% or higher. You need to give yourself some room. So when we call our trades for the indices, it's all about getting in where we can maximize our return. And as we see, even if we were to take an L here and we had a stop, some type of limit order where we had a buy stop of some kind, right? We can still protect ourselves, and we get out here. If we can re-enter, assuming everything correlates with our re-entry, just look at the amount of returns we can have, even if we only take that one L with the bad entry, say we were impatient, just by sticking to strict risk management, we can maximize our return, maximize our entries, and get all of this. And even for the short, once we see what we need to see, once we see the type of rejections that we need to see around the times that we know, whether it's the Asian, the New York session, what have you, we can maximize our returns by sticking to our rules and being very patient. Very simple, but it takes an extreme amount of patience and diligence and just overall not being greedy. If you stick to your plan, we can do great things with these indices, not just the pairs. We can do some great things with the crypto as well. So it's all about sticking to your plan, knowing what you're looking for, and going from there. Now, can't get into all of the sauce too heavy for real right now, but that's just giving you a preview of how we do when it comes to TLE with these indices.
Awesome. Awesome.